Hey everybody, it's on screen, off screen. It's just me and Josh for a special episode. We are reviewing Project Hail Mary. Josh doesn't like movie theaters. He actually kind of hates them. And this movie got him to go to a movie theater voluntarily, spending his own money to go and see people. It's insane. But I had a very, very, very good time with this movie. Very good. It's not as good as the book. It's missing a lot of the scientific elements of the book. It is a lot more simplified. Basically, you get the main guts of the story, but you don't get quite as granular. I still think it works really well, though. We empathize with our main character, who is a school teacher, who is um, has a PhD, but he left academia to go and teach. It was a high school or junior high, I can't remember.
Junior high.
Junior high. Go to teach junior high kids, and that's what he really is passionate about. And he gets sucked into this bigger world to save the sun from astrophage that is eating it. And he's one of the few people in the world that's qualified to do what he does. So he gets on this larger adventure, and we meet an alien named Rocky. They did Rocky, in my opinion, incredibly well, and it is absolutely hilarious. Josh, the part where he hugs, he finds out that he's not going to die, and he hugs the orb, and then he's like, "What are you doing? This is a hug," and he like presses his face against it. And, and I went and took a drink right at that moment. And he's like, "When do you know the hug is done?" I literally choked. I haven't choked on like laughing in something in a very long time. I couldn't breathe. I was literally dying. It was so funny. I've had multiple times in my life where I'm hugging like a girlfriend and I'm like, she's still hugging me. This is not done yet. Could we be done? And I thought it was hilarious. The chemistry between the two was excellent. They dumbed down the way they learned to communicate, which was a disappointment for me in the movie, but it still was done fairly well. The movie is beautiful, like it's gorgeous. Um, a lot of my complaints come from reading the book actually versus the movie, not the movie itself. The movie itself, I think, is really good. What were your general thoughts on it?
So to get through started, my first thing is Hawaii is a weird place. It's like going to a movie theater 10 years ago. I spent $14. I got my movie ticket. I got a large drink. I got the memorabilia Project Hail Mary cup. I thought about buying the popcorn bucket that um, the alien goes into just because I thought it was really cool. Single stadium seats. Every movie theater I've been to in Utah, they've switched to like recliners, nicer seating, that kind of stuff. It was like 30 degrees in the theater, so I was like, I should have brought a hoodie because what the freak is going on? Why is it so freaking cold? There is one exception to that though. There were over 30 minutes of trailers, and
That's
that
a long time.
is extremely excessive. I get like
Yeah.
5 to 15 minutes, let people who are showing up late get in, whatever. But 30 minutes, it's already a 2.5 hour movie. My 2.5 hour experience turned into an over 3 hour experience just because there were so many trailers. And I didn't care about a single one of those trailers. None of them. Not a single one. I was like, oh, maybe I'll check that out. All of them, don't care. Not one bit. There was one that I thought was super weird because it was shrinking,
Oh,
and then it turned into like an insurance commercial. It wasn't even about
that's
shrinking.
weird.
And I was like, what the? Why? Why? Season 3 is coming out. Why wouldn't you advertise season 3? I don't. Anyway. So it was a weird experience. Definitely not what I was expecting. But that in and of itself was not necessarily a bad thing. I like being cool. I like the
So do
older,
I.
crappier chairs. Actually, I like the more stadium seating where you're sitting up a little bit more right. Um, Now, the first thing I want to say about the movie itself is
Mm-hmm.
Ryan Gosling is perfect for this role. They could not have cast it any better. Perfect. Absolutely ideal casting. Um, the next thing I want to say is I get that everyone gets different things about stuff we're consuming. That's a large part of what this podcast is I can watch K-pop Demon Hunters and feel like the way the demons communicated was unique. And Conlin can watch it and be like, that was so basic and general and not my thing. I hated this movie. I
Okay.
absolutely despise this movie. Um, this movie is barely less upsetting to me than The Last Jedi.
Wow. I was not expecting that. I thought you'd have a problem with it that I wasn't going to expect, and you're going to be negative on it. I didn't think it would be that negative.
It
Is this your first movie where you read the book first ever?
no,
What was you
I've read
another one?
Percy Jackson. I
Okay.
read like the Spiderwick Chronicles. Like a lot of those like middle school books I read, The Hunger Games.
Did you read the Hunger Games before the
Yeah,
movie? Okay.
yeah. Um, part what stands out to me in the book
Hmm.
is the constant feeling of discovery and figuring things out and problem solving.
Yes.
At the beginning, they just jump through things so quickly. It made me extremely angry, but I was like, you know what? Fine. I get it. Rocky is the people pleaser. We want to get to Rocky. We want to have as much Rocky as possible.
Hmm.
And then they kept doing it. And it really made me angry. Did they ever solve a problem together? No. Did they ever have to research something, get something wrong, and get it right later? No. Um, every single thing that I love about the book that makes the book special, they yada yada in the movie, right? One of my favorite scenes is figuring out how to communicate.
Yeah, me too.
And it was like 20 seconds. And then they can communicate. And then they made Rocky communicate better for audience. And I think that that was a big mistake. I really like how Rocky communicates in the book. And they made it way more sophisticated and I think takes away from the character.
I feel like they had Rocky will say this thing question. Like they did that in the movie.
Kind of, but he definitely speaks more human than he does in the book. In the book,
That's fair.
instead of saying that's very bad, he says bad, bad, bad. And in the movie, he says that's very bad. Right? So the level of communication, I get it's for the audience. I just don't like it. Um, I went and had this conversation with some people just last night, and they're like, but what do you cut? You know, what gets in and what gets out? And these are two scenes that I don't think are bad that they added. But would I rather have stuff from the book or these scenes? Stuff from the book. So my note is
Okay.
uh, there's no discussion of psychology, none of the reasons why he lost his memory, but Strat gets to sing a song. Let's cut Dr. Grace naming astrophage, solving problems, doubting himself, and fighting to research, but she still gets her song. Let's build the relationship almost entirely. Let's build Rocky's and Grace's relationship almost entirely, but no, let's just have her sing a song. That's 5 minutes. Let's summarize Grace doing the funerals, but let's still have her doing her songs. Grace going on this onto Rocky's ship, not in the book. It's not bad that they added, but would I
He goes on.
rather have
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
genuine stuff from the book or have Grace go onto Rocky's ship? No, I would rather have the stuff from the book. I feel like they got Rocky's ship wrong. Maybe it was my understanding of what was written in the book, but in the book it's described as not aerodynamic, big flat panels and sharp angles. That's not what I saw in the movie. I think they got Rocky's styling wrong. The first time Grace sees him,
Hmm.
he thinks he's a robot. You know, like I get that he's supposed to be. That one's not as egregious. I just would have gone with a more metallic rock look, so it does give the maybe it's a robot. Oh no, that's an actual thing.
I would have too.
They skipped over. Rocky saves Grace. Then in the book, Grace saves Rocky.
That is my biggest problem
They
with the movie.
skip it, and then at the end, when Dr. Grace is deciding whether or not to go to Earth or save Rocky, he looks at his arm and has a scar. And I'm like, well, if Grace didn't go save Rocky, what's the scar from? Why we go into the tunnel, and I get that they changed it because filming zero G scenes would be harder, but he starts taping things to walls, and I'm sitting there like, in the book, that's instrumental as to why he figures out Rocky can't see. But no, it's just, oh, Rocky can't see. Literally exactly like that. And it made me so angry. Um, they skipped a lot of the science. They changed a lot of the stuff. They got the characters wrong to me. Dimitri is one of my favorite characters. He's not in it, but let's add this other guy. Now, the other guy, the bodyguard guy, he's a great add. He adds to the movie.
Yes.
He is exceptional at what he does. But we didn't get Dimitri. Would I rather have Dimitri or that guy? Dimitri. You want to know how I know that? I know Dimitri's name. I don't know what his name is. I cannot believe people who like the book also like this movie as much as they do. I watched dozens and dozens and dozens of reviews. I went to multiple research sources. I looked at articles, I watched TikToks and shorts, I watched long form videos about it. The lowest score anybody gives this is an 8.5. And I'm sitting there like, they cut all of my favorite things. All of them. They changed the dynamic between Rocky and Dr. Grace, because once Rocky shows up, Grace is completely irrelevant. He doesn't play any kind of role other than being there. Rocky does everything, he solves every problem, he knows how to do everything, and he criticizes Grace when he does it wrong. And in the book, there's this play, right? There's this Grace is the chemist, the biologist, and Rocky's the engineer. So they
And
help
Grace knows
each
some
other
things
work
about
through them.
radiation and the way the space works that Rocky just doesn't. He's not aware of it.
Yeah, but when they are on screen together, Grace doesn't solve a single problem. Not one. It takes Rocky leaving for Grace to be like, oh, the astrophage has evolved again, or the whatever, evolved. I better go save
The
Rocky.
tail
And
measure of
it's
the sun.
just that quick, too. There's no earning any of these high points. It is just high point, high point, high point, high point, high point credits. I don't understand. It to me is like watching How I Met Your Father, right? I had the same complaint.
Really?
They looked at How I Met Your Mother and they said, let's put all the high points in, and did none of the earning of it. So it didn't work. This is the same. All the high points, zero earning, zero problem solving, zero failed experiments, zero mess ups, zero working towards a solution. It is just, oh, that's the solution, moving forward. Oh, that's solution, moving forward. Oh, that's solution, moving forward. And it blows my mind that nobody is even talking about it. I've heard people say, this is a top 10 favorite book of mine, or this is my all time favorite book. and nobody has anything negative to say. They've got they knocked it out of the park. This is the best film to or book to film adaptation I've ever seen. They couldn't have done any better.
So I do have some negatives that I didn't really get into, but they have to do with a lot of the same negatives that you have. It feels rushed. They don't have a lot of earning it. That is all fair. I still highly enjoyed the movie and realized that it's adaptation to the movie and they didn't have a lot of time. I think that your argument about the song is warranted, but I think it's probably not quite as long as you're thinking.
It is
What I was bugged
literally
with the
5
song
minutes.
is it cuts away from her character because I much would have rather seen her going before the court and doing the lawsuit and being like, look, I have this document, this document, this document, this document, F off. I can do whatever I want. Screw you. It didn't feel like the same character because they didn't allow that. And if they would have allowed her to be more harsh, then that moment of being more connected to the group and not wanting to be alone would have felt more impactful rather than just, oh, have a song here. The song really didn't feel impactful because she never had the dichotomy of, oh, she has to be basically a bitch because she needs to save the world, and she has this moment where I don't really want to be this person, but I have to be. You don't get that dichotomy because we don't ever see her really being the bitch, other than the one moment where she drugs him and sticks him in the aircraft. Like, that's about it. That was a major missed opportunity to me. Not having him save Rocky was a huge missed opportunity for me, and they should have put that in. Having him pick him up burning and barely being able to push him in because of the difference in the weight, and shoving him in that exchange area where they can push him to the other side so he's in his own atmosphere, and the argon burning his entire body. They should have had the chemical burns all over him. That would have been much more interesting, and like burning his lungs, major trauma. It was a good building point that they just cut off, and they shouldn't have. Um, there were these little things that did bring it down to me compared to the book, because the book is so good at building and building and building, and this one just does hit the main points, but it hits the main points, in my opinion, very well. It's just not the book. The book is significantly better to this, in my opinion, very good movie.
Well, you're not alone. A lot of people love it, but I don't. I feel like my biggest frustration with the movie is I see the potential,
Okay.
right? Ryan Gosling is excellent. They cast Strat
He's
very
great.
well. But just like The Last Jedi, they ruined the characters that I love by the direction that they went in, right? Like for me, it fundamentally changes the dynamic between Strat and Ryan Gosling's character, Dr. Grace, because in the movie, they make it a joke. Ah ha ha, Ryan Gosling runs away, he gets tackled and shot with it. Ha ha ha, so funny. But in the book,
I didn't feel that way at
he's
all.
sitting there and he's pleading. He's like, well, I'll screw up this mission. I'll do all of these things. I will, you know, he's pleading not to go on the mission. And Stratz has to say, I'm sorry. You are the only one to send. And I know fundamentally you're a good person. So even if you do remember this moment, you will choose to do the right thing anyway. But we don't get that. And so when we
No.
get the
Yeah.
conclusion of Ryan Gosling's character, Dr. Grace, remembering that moment and choosing to do the right thing anyway, it's not paying off. Right? I can see the potential. Strat and Gosling's character, very well cast, very well acted. None of the building blocks to make those high points work for me. All just high
Okay.
points. There is the potential there. This could have been an extraordinary movie with great adaptation and great taste. Like, I'm not as bothered by the singing as you were. I actually think it does add the human element to the character that the court scene would have also done. But the court scene would have been better, right?
Course, it would have been better, easily.
I've heard people say they liked that they added a romantic element between Strat and Gosling. And I was like, I didn't even get that. But if they
I
did,
didn't
that's
either.
stupid. That is a terrible decision. The fact that people are coming out of this
I agree.
movie and saying it's so good that they added that dynamic. No, you're wrong. I didn't see that
I didn't get that
personally.
at
I
all.
didn't get that at all. But if they did add that, that's a stupid thing to add. So yeah, that's my thing. It is all high points. There is lots of potential. The visuals, stunning. The sound, stunning. You know, the way they made the relationship between Rocky and Grace work is functional. But if they had done more of the base, and I know that it's a movie, I know they have to appeal to audiences, I know they have to cut a bunch of stuff when they go from book to movie, but they never, not once, do anything to earn a payoff. And
You
I
think it
just,
would have been better with more time? Like if it was a
yes,
4-episode limited series or something like
yes,
that?
if they had even added just more time to them working out communicating with each other, I would not be as negative.
Okay.
But they spend 20 seconds on it, say got it, and then they move on. And then they're in
Yeah. He just
that's
walks up, echo locating, right?
yep,
And then boom.
echolocation. Woohoo. And I'm like, the reason he was taping things to the wall is not explained, and that plays a fundamental role on why he figured out echolocation. The clock, they didn't make the tape measure melt when he gave it to him.
That was something that bugged me.
Like, all of these building blocks to make these high points to work, I feel like they cut. And I know that's probably just me, and everybody gets something different, and a lot of people it's not about that stuff. It's not about the science. It's the friendship between Rocky and Dr. Grace. It's the Grace confronting whether or not he wants to continue with the mission or go home or whatever. But for me, it was that discovery. And we never got any discovery in the movie because all the pieces for discovery were cut that out of here. It's not entertaining enough for general audiences.
Yeah, they took the story aspect, but they removed a lot of the science and a lot of the slow, methodical discovery aspect. It's two halves of the book, and one half of the book is largely
Yeah.
just missing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's totally fair.
it just
Another thing
extremely angered me.
that I didn't really like was when Rocky and Grace are sitting there exploring Earth. I'm like, I don't think Rocky would see any of this. I don't think Rocky could see any of this, but maybe I'm wrong.
You're wrong.
You're wrong. You think
Yeah.
Rocky could
It's
see
in
it?
the book too. They edit it to both ways. He has a thing that does textiles that looks at something and
Yeah.
converts it, and he's using that thing in the movie. It's also in the book. Like,
Okay.
I didn't love that they spent so much time on it, especially when all these other things they could have added time
Could be
to.
better.
But I'm not mad at that. Like I said, none of the stuff that they added I felt like was bad.
There's just better stuff that could
It's
have
just
been
you
there.
could have put the stuff from the book in there. You know, the only criticism I've heard is this isn't the greatest sci-fi movie of the century. And some scientist people upset that he didn't balance the centrifuge when he spun the test tubes.
That was it.
Only criticisms I've heard.
Wow.
I have been watching so many reviews, and everybody's like, it's amazing. It's perfect. It's such a great adaptation. I'm like, no, it's not. They took everything that I loved. They ruined
I'm
it.
sorry.
They ruined my characters.
I wasn't bugged by the ship thing. Honestly, what in the book, I was like, I kind of want to see Rocky's ship. He would want to see Rocky's ship. Figure out a way to see Rocky's ship. And so when it happened, I was like, yes, you're going to see Rocky's ship. I was actually pretty down for that. Sid did immediately when she saw the ship be like, "That's not what I pictured."
Yeah.
Immediately, like that was her first thought. Was that was not what I pictured. I didn't really picture it in my head. I don't think it was just a spaceship that was a spaceship. That's an area where I don't really think I comprehended it. Um, but yeah, and then something that I didn't really, I kind of just let it go, but it could have bugged me if I didn't let it go. Is the part where he's like, they make it a joke, but he moves forward and the ship moves forward too, and he moves forward and the ship moves forward too. And I don't think he was that big of a coward. He was more interested and inquisitive and curious. I think they changed that a little bit with the character. I kind of just let it go. It's not that big of a deal, but I think it is a little bit of a change from the book that isn't quite as good. But they pulled it off pretty well for what they were trying to do, if that makes sense.
It does. And I agree with you completely. I agree. I don't hate that they added him going onto the ship. I don't hate that they added Gosling's character to do that. Was that in the book? No, but that didn't take away from it. The things that I'm disappointed in is everything left out. The things that angered me are the things that I feel like changed the dynamic of the characters that I love. Right?
That's fair. This did actually make me question something in the book. I didn't really think about this with the book, but when they got to the very end and they're inside the dome, and honestly, the dome seems like a pretty cool place to live and to be. Would it matter if their son died if literally everything is dark anyway? They're not getting
Yes.
any light. Okay. Why? Just because of the heat of the to keep the temperature of the atmosphere?
Because you need light so that plants can do their
But they're
thing.
not getting any light.
But okay,
The way the book describes it, it's completely but dark, and that's why they developed the way that they did.
I don't remember if the book was dark or light. I don't
It's dark.
remember. Okay,
That's why they
if
developed how they
it's
did.
dark, okay. What does the sun also do?
Heat things.
Nope.
They hate the
What
atmosphere.
else? I mean, yes, but
Radiate?
what else? It's gravitational pull. If you didn't have a sun,
That's true.
where would
Then
you go?
then you,
You would go crashing
hmm.
into the nearest largest gravitational impact.
If the energy of the sun was destroyed, there would still be a gravitational impact though, because the sun is the mass is still there, but the energy is missing from the mass, correct?
No, because
No.
the sun is
Energy.
the energy. That's
So
what
the
makes up
mass would
the
be gone
mass.
because you would be eating the mass.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense.
But yes, also it would be heating the planet. I brought this up as a plot hole in the book because, like, astrophage creates energy in an extremely efficient way with zero cost. So, like, you could artificially heat the planet,
Yeah.
um, but it's not like movie or book breaking that they did that. It's just kind of part of what it is, and I'm fine with it.
The story.
Like, yeah, they changed the dome in the movie.
I thought the dome was sweet.
They
Genuinely super cool.
they changed some stuff, and like some of it's fine. I'm okay. They left out the me burgers part. Great. I didn't need to know that or see it in the book. It's totally fine. They
I
left it out from the movie.
didn't like that they changed the eating thing. Actually, it bugged me quite a bit.
Yeah,
Where I was like, "That's part of his culture that he doesn't like eating in front of people." And all of a sudden, he's like, "I'm so handsome when I eat." It actually, that one was one where I don't know why they changed that. I think it was a just a dumb change. That was straight up just a dumb change.
it was a dumb change. The sleeping they didn't emphasize or give any explanation for.
That one was fine to me.
Uh,
Like it would have added, but it wasn't that. It was fine
so
because it wasn't like they did it enough where I was like, okay, it's part of his culture. We get that. Didn't go quite as deep into it. Didn't have time. That's fine. But the eating thing is exactly the opposite of the book. It's not the same at all.
yeah, Yeah, I agree. I think that that was a very poor decision that they made with that. It bothered me that they both kind of shied away from it, and it wasn't there was none of the scientific curiosity between biology, chemistry, you know, scientific makeup, cultural differences. They completely ignored all of those things. I, I agree. Bad choice.
Bad choice.
Choice.
I'm sorry you didn't like the movie because I do have these criticisms. I do have the criticisms. I had a wonderful time with what was created, and I thought it was a good enough representation for me to enjoy it, but still go, the book is so much better. If you liked the movie, please read the book. I literally told people at work that multiple times today. If you like the movie, the book is way better. You should read it because it's great.
The book is way,
Um,
way, 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 way better.
yeah, yes, the book is way better. Everyone should read the book. Um, but I don't think, I really don't think the movie was bad. What was your rating?
Negative 50.
That's a bad rating, man. That's a bad rating. I'm sorry, brother. For real. That sucks. Mine, I saw the 8.5s and the 9s, and I was like, it's not quite that good. But I'm giving it an 8. I would easily rewatch this movie. Easily. Without by anybody. I would go and watch this movie again in the theater. Like, I really had a good time. The book is better. Book is easily better. But I had a really good time.
I
Um,
thought you would. You gave it exactly the score that I thought you were going to give.
you thought I'd give it an 8?
Yeah,
Why didn't you think I'd go up to like a 9?
because there was enough missing.
Okay.
I was like, yeah, Conlin's different than me. He's not going to be as upset about the science as I was. He's just going to be like, oh, it was good, but not as good as everybody else is saying. That's literally exactly what I thought. But for me, I was
You
sitting
were
there
exactly right.
and I was like, I want to walk out. The only reason I'm not walking out is because I paid to be here.
Otherwise, you would have left.
And when it was over, I was like, thank goodness this thing is over.
That's crazy because I was watching it and I got out and I was like, oh, that was a long movie. And it didn't feel like a long movie to me.
I don't think it would have felt as long to me if uh, there wasn't 30 minutes of trailers,
That's fair.
but it wasn't the length. Um, there's a criticism of the book um, that people say there's too much like whiplash back and forth, right? Because you have Rocky save Grace, then Grace saves Rocky, then they problem
Mhm.
solve, then they split up, then Grace decides to leave, then Grace comes back and saves Rocky, then so there's a lot of whoop 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 there at the end, and I think that that's a valid criticism. And they cut out half of it, and it was still felt a little whiplashy to me in the movie,
Interesting.
and I was like, I wish that they would just end it. Just let me leave. Just roll the credits. Just be done. Stop disappointing
Just
me,
be
you
done.
stupid movie.
I'm sorry. I also wish that they it is a small area where I think info dump would have been useful, but where he's looking for Rocky. If I hadn't read the book, it was the one point where I literally the entire time I was like, if I hadn't read the book, would I understand what was going on? And that's the one point where I'd be like, I don't know how he finds Rocky. I really have no idea.
I was
It's
thinking
a
that the
needle
whole time through the movie.
in a haystack. I like, how did you find him? And I wish that they would have explained that because if you think about it a little bit, it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Why did it shine on the IR camera? Like, why did that happen? What? And that little shine took you all the way to him? What are you talking about? It doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Like I said, I was thinking that the whole way through the movie. How did he
The whole
figure
thing.
out how Rocky could see? How could he figure out he needed to make the numbers bigger on the clock? Why was he taping things to the wall in the first place? That's a natural thing, Conlon. When you go spelunking out into caves, you tape things to the walls, don't you? Like, no, that's an abnormal behavior, but it is normal because those who have read the book understand what's going on.
I thought he explained in a very quick way. They explained that he did echolocation. Okay, it's really, really dark in there. Is this echolocation, buddy? Is that what you do? Kind of like thinking like it's a bat. I mean, that's not the hardest thing to assume. Would you test it out? Yes, but that's not like ridiculous.
I was upset by it.
Okay, I was not. When he said it's really dark in there, buddy, I was like, okay. I mean, you have to figure out how to do all this fast to keep the story going. That was a fair enough explanation for why he would think that. And then you make the letters thicker. That's kind of just, or the numbers, you make them thicker. That's kind of just a natural next step without the book. And I was like, I would follow why he was thinking along those lines. There's a little bit of a jump there, but it's a jump that is reasonable.
I'm glad you liked it.
Yeah, man. I'm sorry you didn't. I'm really, really sorry you didn't, for real. I think it's one that I will enjoy a second time. I will enjoy it a second time. I know I will.
I don't think you will.
I'll enjoy the book a second time.
I
You
don't
think I
think
will?
anybody else will either.
I
I
do.
have a theory that it is the movie theater experience working on people. And when this comes out on streaming or whatever, I think you're going to have a wave of people going, this isn't as good as I remember it being. And a new wave of people watching it for the first time saying, this isn't as good as people said it was. Very similar to Interstellar and stuff along the same
I
line.
kind of don't think so
You'll have a
because
bunch of
you had.
people.
I had this movie so hyped because yeah, there's not a bad review. There is any major person has not given this a bad review. Most people are like, this is the best movie I've seen in years. I had it so hyped, and I already read the book and loved the book, so I was so excited, and it didn't really let me down, which was crazy to me.
Yes,
But I
but
genuinely had a good
let
time.
me ask you this.
But
What
there
was
is a
your
okay
walking out of the theater experience to The Last Jedi?
bad.
No, you walked out of it having enjoyed it.
I walked out being like, oh, and then as I was talking, literally what happened. This is what happened. I walked out of it like, oh, that was kind of cool. And then I was driving home and I was talking to my girlfriend at the time, and I was like, but I didn't really like that, and I didn't really like that, and that was really bad. Well, that sucked. And by the time I got home, it was like a 45-minute drive. I was driving from South Jordan or something. I was like, that movie sucked. That was awful. That was a terrible, terrible, awful movie. That was horrible. But it was within 45 minutes. I have not had that experience with this movie.
Yeah, because this one isn't as bad. It isn't
Okay.
as egregious with taking a big old shit on your characters. It is
Yeah.
going to be a slower one. I don't think you're going to hate it. I don't think you're going to come to me in 6 months and be like, Josh, you were right. That was awful. I do
If
think
you had to guess, do you think it would drop to a 7.5, 7? What do you think it's going to drop for me?
for you, probably a 7.5. I do think you're being fairly rational with this one. I think you'll go, yeah, it's probably not worth an 8, but it is still worth a rewatch every now and then.
Okay.
I think the general public will also start coming down on it.
Okay.
I think they'll also say, like, oh, you know what? It is there is pacing problems, especially at the beginning. Like, can we at least agree on that? No, nobody even will acknowledge that because everybody just is glowing on it right now.
I don't think I would have pacing issues if I hadn't read the book. Maybe I'm wrong. I can't like separate and tell myself that, but I don't think I would. I think my rating would actually be a little higher if I hadn't read the book, but I know what it's compared to, and I literally just could not compare it and be like, that is just it's just better.
I think that there are pacing problems. It is the one criticism, like legit criticism, I have heard. But
Okay.
everybody who has said that has said, but it still doesn't impact my rating.
Okay.
And I'm like, either it's a problem or it's not. I think it very clearly is a problem. I think they're very clearly just like, get to Rocky, get to Rocky, get to Rocky. Okay, we're at Rocky.
Hmm.
Um, they could have made so much more. Now, I think that there's a chance that I change my rating pretty significantly, though,
Okay.
because the creators of the movie said there's about 30 to 45 minutes of stuff that they had to cut due to time constraints.
Oh, interesting.
And
So there's going to be like a director version.
I'm hoping that they're going to do a director's cut. Uh, Andy Weir, the author, in an interview said the most important thing left out of the movie was that they nuked the North and South Poles. So I know that won't be in the director's cut, but if there is
I
a
also
director's cut and it's 30 to 45 minutes and it's adding some of these details that I want
it would help a lot.
or miss, I I could come around and say the theatrical one is crap, but the director's cut is worth watching. I don't think I'll ever be as high as an 8 because like I said, especially the
Too many
dynamic
issues.
between Grace and Strat is the most appalling thing to me. And they're not going to fix that with a director's cut. But I do think I could get over a 5 and at least not be in the negatives with the director's cut.
Okay.
But that
Okay.
may or may not happen. It has not been confirmed.
I understand why they removed it, but I really just wanted to visually see the Sierra paved. I don't know why I wanted to see that so bad, but I was like, I just when I found out the movie was, or when I knew the movie was happening. When I went into the movie, I was like, I want to see what the Sierra looks like paved because I can't even picture it, and I want to see that. And they didn't do it. I was
Yeah.
a little disappointed by that.
I actually thought that your biggest criticism was they cut out all of the psychological aspects, all of the conversations between Strat and Grace about psychology and the impact of being in space and who they're with and you know a male and female together is going to create problems if there is a second male or a second female just because of human nature, and they didn't do any of that stuff either.
No, they didn't.
So
And I wish they would have put that. I'm okay that they took that off.
okay.
I like it. It does add to the book, but I get removing that. There's a lot of information to cover. It didn't bug me
I
actually.
was also bugged that they changed that Grace wasn't trained. That bothers me too, but I understand why they did it.
I do too.
Oh well.
And it wouldn't have been. There's a couple of things that they could have changed that would have been just better. Like it wouldn't have been that hard to change the conversation they had with Strat, where it's like, oh, they developed this technique to have people forget. That would have been an easy conversation to add.
Well, it should have been part of
Just
the
do it.
conversation that he had at the end. It
Yeah,
shouldn't have been a joke. And I think Gosling would have
I
knocked
did.
it out of the park to have delivered that begging, pleading spiel and have Strat turn around and say, this is what we're going to do. We're doing it because we have to. We're doing it because you're the only one.
It didn't feel like a joke to me. I didn't get that like
I
at
have
all.
heard nothing but it is a joke. And having
Yeah,
Gosling
I
dance on the
literally didn't
desk
have that.
is absolutely a joke.
It didn't feel like a joke to me. That one part that I could say was a joke, but I thought was kind of sweet, so it worked for me, is afterwards when Rocky is like, "You're a brave. You are the bravest human I know," and that was kind of a joke, but it was a charming, kind of heartfelt joke, so I was okay with that. The guy's kind of down in the dumps. You see him being down in the dumps. You don't have him go through the inner monologue like he does with the book, where I'm not a brave person. I'm a piece of garbage. but you get a lot of the same ideas conveyed, just not quite as effectively. But I was okay. I was okay with that.
I was
Didn't feel
I was okay
over
with
jokey
that
to me.
too. But yeah, Grace dodging security guards, I felt like was a joke.
Hmm.
I've heard other people call it a joke too, but that they thought it was a good thing. I think it's a bad thing. I think it changes the character entirely.
Hmm.
Um, I was bothered that Grace never found out about Earth at the end. There was no debate about whether or not to go back home. Um, I do like that we got Strat's point of view. I don't like that it wasn't explained why she was in the middle of the Arctic, and it's because she's on the run. Um, like, yeah. But there is good
So
news.
yeah, it's good news.
There's probably going to be a sequel.
What?
Andy Weir has said he's been floating ideas for a sequel.
I don't know if I want that. I don't know if I want that.
I don't either, but if it's as good as
Mm,
Project Hail Mary, the book, I'm willing to give it a shot. And if not,
I'll
the
give it a
first book is
shot.
standalone. You can just ignore
It's
the
yeah.
sequel.
I'll give it a shot. So question: do you think Ryan Gosling would make a good Milo?
From
Atlantis.
no,
Okay, I
Milo's
got
like
some
a
similar
quarter of
energy.
his age.
That's true. He's way younger. Maybe like half his age, probably. Okay, yeah, that's fair. I was like, I get a little Milo energy from this, a little
I
bit.
didn't think that. I'm not mad at the thought, but I did not think that.
Okay, cool.
Way
Yeah,
too quirky, weird. Andrew Garfield.
Andrew Garfield is perfect for it. Like
Yeah.
100% perfect. And that's what they should do. But I was
No,
like,
they shouldn't because it
I could
shouldn't
get
have
behind
live
it.
action.
Um, that one's one of the few where I'd be okay with it.
I wouldn't. Not at all. You trust Disney to do a take on race?
I don't, but there's a small possibility it would work, and it's a project that is not nearly as loved as it should be. Be like people have forgotten it. So if you brought it back into the limelight, more people would discover the old one along with the new one. And I think it actually might be one where it's okay.
How about just a remastered re release?
That would be good too. I would be
Here's
down
my
for that.
new problem with live action remakes.
Yeah.
You're creating more options and thus hurting the previous work.
That's fair.
Just
That's fair.
basic economics. Like, just by having a
Basic
live action
psychology.
Lion King means that less people will watch the old one, which means the people who made the old one, who actually deserve the money,
Don't get
won't
it.
be getting it because live action.
That's a
That's my
good
new
point.
problem with it. I have a lot of problems with it,
That's a good point.
but that's my new one.
I do too. Would you redo it and not have it be 2D? Like just modernize it with Pixar's greatest visual tech?
I think there's a lot to say about the artistic style of the old one. I wouldn't be mad if they made it look like Arcane or whatever that they're gonna do.
Cool.
But make sure you use the original voice lines. You don't change it. It's just a frame by frame increase in textures and artistic or whatever, and then put it back in theaters. Because like most of these movies that we think, hey, they just didn't get the attention that they deserved. It's because they came out with at the same time as some like monster behemoth box office movies.
Huge movie.
Just like so competitive of a time, and
That you were
now,
just gonna lose. Like
yeah.
you were screwed.
So Treasure Planet, Atlantis, Emperor's New Groove, right? If they just re-released them in theaters and was like, "Hey, just come watch this in theaters," I think a lot of people would go to it. A lot of people would get exposed to it, and a lot of people would love those projects now. I mean, they hold up. It's not like they look bad or anything.
No, not at all. They still look
So
good.
yeah, just put it in theaters
Okay.
again. Let people come to have the theater experience with those movies. It's
Yeah.
worked out really well for Lord of the Rings and Star Wars.
I don't know. They keep making money.
Yeah.
And like with that, the visual medium is super interesting because this movie, I think visually looks stunning. There's not a shot of the movie that I didn't think looked great. Honestly, was there anything that was like everything just looked stellar?
I did like the Grace standing on the ship having a moment scene.
You didn't?
Yeah. Because I love the science of the book, I was sitting there like, he wouldn't be able to see the astrophages. This is so stupid. But I get that other people would be like, pretty. But I was sitting there like, you wouldn't be able to see it. This is stupid. I hate
This
this.
is dumb, dumb,
I'm
freaking
cranky. I
dumb
hate
thing.
this. Yeah. And I was already
Oh.
like put in a bad mood because of the movie already at that point. But yeah, I didn't love that.
Well, guys, we had massively different opinions. I would have guessed Josh would have been negative on this movie. I wouldn't have. I wouldn't have put money that he would hate it this much. To be completely honest, Josh apparently pinged me like perfectly, 100%. What did you guys think about it? Are we right? Did Josh shift your opinion at all? Have you read the book? Tell us, and keep making tomorrow better than today. See you guys.